Hey guys, it's Doris, and in this week's episode of The Dark Side of the Ring, we got to see another double life of a wrestler named Johnny K-9, or Johnny Bedlam. He wrestled in the 80s. I remember bits of him, but he wasn't a big known star when he was with WWF. So back then they hired local jobbers. Like Cornette said, you would get hired with, or I think it was D'Amore that said, they would hire local guys in the cities and towns where they were going, and those would be the guys that had the wrestling experience but didn't have the name to back themselves up. So they would be the guys that would make the stars like the Hogans, the Savages, the Andres look good. And they would lose to them. They never won matches. They would always lose, but they got on television. And for some of those guys, that's all they wanted. They wanted to get on television. I mean, and if you think about it, like the Brooklyn Brawler. The Brooklyn Brawler never won a match, but everyone knows of him. Everyone knows who he was. There's not one wrestling fan, I don't think, that has never heard of or seen the Brooklyn Brawler. But he was a jobber. His whole career was that of a jobber, but he did it well. At some point in time, he probably realized that that's all he was going to do, is be a jobber. Like D'Amore said, some wrestlers take offense to the term, others hold it dearly because they know that's what they were. It's not an insult, it's what they were called because they would get hired for jobs. They weren't under contract. They didn't do weekly matches. They would have a match whenever they came to their territory. And that's what Johnny K-9 was. He made a little bit of a name for himself when Cornette brought him to Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And part of that reason was because Cornette saw him in an arena, saw his size, and that's all it took. Cornette knew that he could use him purely off of his size. And the one thing about Cornette, when he was a promoter and a matchmaker, he made a lot of stars. That's what his job was, and he did it well. So Cornette, with just looking at a man, would know, I can make something of him. And he needed a villain in Smoky Mountain, and sure enough, Johnny K-9 was able to pull it off. Yes, he was under a different name, but he ended up, yes, in a smaller territory in the 80s, which a lot of them were. WWF was only a little bit bigger because it had a larger territory, I think, and they made it on TV in more cities than the smaller territories did. So I think, that being said, I think Johnny K-9's life would have been different if he had been able to, like Lance Storm said, made himself out to be like a Hulk Hogan or Randy Savage, because he would have been making the money that he wanted to make in wrestling. He loved wrestling, but couldn't, whether it be he didn't have the mic skills or what it took in the ring to get himself pushed. A lot of them described him as a big teddy bear. He was the nicest guy, his shirt off his back. But I think at the same time, his size also is what led him down the path of the criminal pathways that he took, as far as the motorcycle gang and the doing enforcer jobs for family criminal factions. Because of his size, he was very intimidating and could get done what they wanted him to get done. And I think by the sounds of it, he was called a teddy bear, and I'm sure, like with a lot of the guys, they at times believe everyone is their friend. They're a nice guy, so they can trust people. And I think that's where a lot of, not just wrestlers, but a lot of nice people go wrong, is they believe that because they're a nice person and they treat people the way they do, that no one's going to try and take advantage of them. And unfortunately for Johnny K-9, that's exactly what happened. He ended up being manipulated to assist in making a bomb that wasn't used for what he was told it was being used for, and he ended up doing time for it. And I think that because that happened, he felt like he could tell them that's not what was supposed to happen. But unfortunately, with things like that, you're not supposed to talk at all. You're just supposed to shut up and take whatever is dealt to you, whether you think it's right or not, or deserving or not. That doesn't matter. So I think all in all, that's kind of what ended up getting him in the trouble he got into, is mostly his size and his caring, well-natured personality. I think that made him an easy target to take advantage of. I think he, in a lot of ways, wanted to, yes, he wanted to make people proud of him, but he also wanted to make people happy. He wanted to be well-liked. And I think, like Jericho said, when he stayed with Jericho, he felt like he had to do something for staying with Jericho, so he would do anything he could around the house to feel like he was pulling his own weight. So I think this was enlightening, like it was last week. I think delving into the backgrounds of some of the wrestlers, especially ones like Johnny K-9, where only some of us remember him, and we remember very small blips of him, to know what their lives were like, what they did to try to entertain their fans. I think a lot of times it kind of makes you appreciate that way of life, and appreciate what they did and went through for us. Yes, for themselves, but for us also, to entertain us. So I think this was another well done episode. Like I said, very few people remember Johnny K-9, also known as Bruiser Bedlam in Smoky Mountain. But I think if he had made it big in the ring, I don't think he would have ended up going to the criminal part of his life, because I think he would have felt fulfilled and happy with what he was making as a wrestler. And that's what I find intriguing about the dark side of the ring, is you get to see the side of the lives that we don't get to see as fans, and we don't really hear about, unfortunately, till a lot of times after their death. We hear about the other side of the ring, or the other side of the life, and we learn that some of our favorite wrestlers led double lives. But I think they're just people. They do what they feel like they have to do to survive and be what they want to be. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Do you remember Johnny K-9? Do you remember him as Bruiser Bedlam? I know some of the people that watch are a little bit younger, so they may not remember, but you can look him up on YouTube. You can see some of his matches, and I suggest you do that just to kind of get a picture of what it was like to watch him in the ring. Like I said, I mean, I remember very small bits of it because I was still a kid in the early to mid 80s. So yeah. So what did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Yeah, there's been better episodes, but I also, like I said, I like the episodes about the guys that we don't know so well. So I think this was a overall good episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Let me know if you agree. Let me know what you thought. Like I said, do you remember him? Alright guys, thank you for watching, and I look forward to next week's episode. Peace guys, love yous, bye, peace.